وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر وعبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
This is Dr. Sahar Khamis. Join me on the third Friday of each month at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be discussing some of the most important current political, economic, and social issues in my program, The Bridge. On Radio Baladi, on America's Voice of the Arabs, WNZK 690 AM and WDMV 700 AM. Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Dr. Sahar Khamis. Welcome to another show, another program on US Arab Radio. An imam and a priest, a spiritual journey of collaboration and transformation. How can an imam and a priest embark together on one spiritual journey, embracing their own two different faith traditions while at the same time joining each other in one spiritual journey? And how can this turn into a long-term experience of collaboration, cooperation, and transformation? What are the most important fruits, benefits, and educational moments for them as well as for others as a result of this unique experience? This is going to be the topic of today's show. And my guests this morning, Imam Mohamad Bashar Arafat and Reverend William A.Au, known in the interfaith community as Father Bill. Imam Mohamad Bashar Arafat was born and raised in Damascus, Syria. He received a degree in Islamic Studies, Arabic Language, Islamic Law from Damascus University, served as Imam in Damascus from 1981 to 1989, and was then invited to the US to lecture in various Islamic centers. He has been Imam and chaplain in different Islamic institutions, mosques in the United States, and he is currently the president of the Islamic Affairs Council of Maryland. He has been teaching courses on Islamic studies and comparative religion at different academic institutions. Imam Bashar is the founder and president of Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation, a non-profit organization which functions as an umbrella to bring people together to exchange, aiming at creating a better world that promotes peace and cooperation. Additionally, Imam Bashar is the founder of Al-Bashir Seminary, Interfaith Center, and Institute. My second distinguished guest, Reverend William A.Au, is a priest in Baltimore. He was ordained in 1975, is a graduate of St. Mary's Seminary and University in Baltimore. He received a PhD in church history from the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. He published a book and several articles on the American Catholic debate on issues of war and peace. He currently serves as the pastor of the Shrine of the Sacred Heart Church in the Mount Washington section of Baltimore. Since 2009, he has been actively participating in interfaith international programs sponsored by Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation in Egypt, Jordan, and Morocco, and he's been involved in the advisory board of this organization and also Al-Bashir Seminary, among many other interfaith initiatives. Welcome to the show, my distinguished guests.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to have you both with me this morning on my radio show. And I would like to start by asking each one of you, I'll start with Imam Bashar, how did you get to meet the other? How did you meet Reverend William A.Au, known as Father Bill to all of us? How did this relationship actually start, Imam Bashar?
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to you and to your listeners. And I just would like to say it's a pleasure for me to be at your talk show, and
Thank you.
to be accompanied with Reverend Bill, Father Bill, and I just wanted to say that I had the honor and the pleasure of meeting Father Bill around 2008, 2009, and he was very much interested in our program in Egypt and Jordan, and that was in partnership with Notre Dame University. And then after that, it has been a wonderful journey of cooperation since then. And I mean, I could see the love of Almighty God clearly in his action and in his activities in his church and his search to really build relations with other communities and other faith traditions. The things that I was also involved in since I came to Baltimore. And I'm right now honored to continue working with him for the past almost 10 years. And really, right now we are working on this important initiative of the Sultan and the Saint, which try to commemorate this incident that took place 800 years between Saint Francis of Assisi and his intention of reaching out to the Muslim community through the Sultan of Egypt back then, Mohamad al-Kamil, and that happened ironically almost 800 years from now. And next year we are intending to have that conference that will commemorate this event and to apply the lessons that learned from that kind of interaction that is so much needed today, that will really help to eliminate a lot of the ignorance that we are suffering from today. For me personally, I'm trying to, apply these incidents and these events that took place throughout the history, not only the Sultan and the Saint, but also other events, to apply it for our time today and move forward in eliminating a lot of the ignorance that we are suffering from today, and how politicians are playing on that ignorance and changing it into fear from the other. And we are seeing it here in our country, and unfortunately today we are seeing it in Europe. The rise of that kind of nationalism that is played sometimes on the fear of the other. And to me, I see that we are entering an era in the history of humanity where migration and immigration and integration is so much the talk of today, as well as the reality of today. And unless we as clergy, we as people of faith, unless we go back to our traditions and read the word of God that was given to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Jesus and Moses, peace be upon all of them, unless we read these kind of scriptures and the words of God that has been revealed to all of them from the correct perspectives, that is love, compassion, and peace, otherwise we are not going to have an easy life in our time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that, Imam Bashar. And actually, you paved the way for my question for Father Bill about the spiritual encounter with the other in the story of Saint Francis and the Sultan of Egypt, Malik al-Kamil, in the year 2019. Father Bill, and I hope you don't mind me addressing you in this capacity, since this is the title that you are most known with in the interfaith circles, which is how I got to know you personally. You wrote about the spiritual journey of transformative encounter between these two important historical figures. And in fact, the title of today's show has been inspired by your own title, talking about the spiritual journey of transformative encounter. And I'll just read a few lines here from what you wrote, which I found very, very inspirational. You said that this encounter with the other who is socially, culturally, ethically, and religiously different from us. How can we relate to the other who embodies all that is different from us, or even contradictory in belief, lifestyle, and culture? Is the other necessarily a threat who must be eliminated, or is the other one with whom you can find a way to live in peace, respect, and mutual learning? This question has often been not really directly covered or addressed, and it is the heart of the clash of civilization and religion that has dominated much of the history of the world and whose legacy shapes so many of the challenges facing human, international, and interreligious relations today. This is really a very, inspirational writing, and I was very much touched by it when I read it. And I wanted to ask you directly, how did your encounter with Imam Bashar kind of really touch on some of these issues you raised here?
Well, again, thank you, Sahar, for inviting me on the show, and assalamu alaikum to you and to all of your listeners. Yes, to build on what the Imam was saying, I think what struck me when I met him over 10 years ago was that I felt I was meeting a kindred spirit my approach to interfaith relations was really evolving out of the growth of my own spirituality and relationship with God, in which and I felt that he was of the same spirit. And so often I think interfaith relations in this country have been approached from a sort of social or political approach that sought better social relations for the sake of civil or political harmony, but was not really seen as a theological necessity coming from our own religious beliefs. But what Imam and I had in common was a belief that our approach to interfaith relations was rooted in being faithful to our own individual traditions, and that if we were faithful as a Muslim or a Christian, that we had to reach out and embrace the other and embrace each other on that level where we meet God, which is the most transformative level on which we meet the other. And then only if we are approaching our religious traditions as demanding that relationship with one another can we bring the power of true religion to address this world of ours, in which, unfortunately, religion is being co-opted and politically hijacked to justify a lot of divisive political agendas. And when the two of us discovered the story of St. Francis's visit to the Sultan in Egypt in 2019, what was impressive to me was that it was an example of two people coming together out of fidelity to their religious traditions. Francis rejected this was the middle of the Fifth Crusade. Francis rejected religious war and Christianity's war with Islam, and he wanted to end it. So he thought, well, if I go and convert the Sultan, there won't be anything to fight about. And the Sultan, despite the objections of his advisors, met with Francis because he was a pious Muslim, and he accepted what the Quran said to honor the holy people of Christians, of the people of the book. And when they came together, Francis obviously did not convert the Sultan, but he was radically changed in that, but what changed was not his faith, but his worldview, that he saw that he was forced to move beyond his Euro-Christian-centric view of the world and see the humanity of his Muslim host, to see the true spirituality of Islam, to see the depth of belief in the oneness of God in Islam. And he was totally transformed and left Egypt with a new vision of Christians and Muslims living in peace. They said Christians should not try to convert Muslims, but we should live in harmony and learn from each other. And this was a radical vision, obviously, for his time, which, unfortunately, the story was buried by both sides, but it's come again to our attention today, I think, as an act of God, bringing this story to hopefully once again offer us the opportunity to do what these two men were able to do for our own time.
Absolutely. This is very important, and especially more important now in light of what Imam Bashar has also mentioned in terms of increased polarization, between different groups, different ways of thinking, different lifestyles, different maybe people embodying different cultural and religious lifestyles. We'll come back to this important point right after this commercial break. Stay tuned, please.
Life is a non-profit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600. The Rama Relief Foundation provides humanitarian aid into areas inside of war-torn Syria, as well as aid to the refugees who have fled to the neighboring countries in the Middle East. The foundation offers food baskets, container shipment, mental health, education, soup kitchens, and more. Go to ramarelief.org or call 248-990-4247. Any donation amount made to Rama will go to sustaining many lives. Call now 248-990-4247.
This is Dr. Sahar Khamis. Join me on the third Friday of each month at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be discussing some of the most important current political, economic, and social issues in my program, The Bridge. On Radio Baladi, on America's Voice of the Arabs, WNZK 690 AM and WDMV 700 AM. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is your host, Dr. Sahar Khamis, and we're talking today about a unique transformative journey, a spiritual journey of transformation and collaboration between an imam and a priest. And with me this morning discussing this very interesting and important topic are my distinguished guests, Imam Mohamad Bashar Arafat and Reverend William A.Au. Reverend William, or Father Bill, I want to come back again to the point of polarization that we left before the commercial break. Imam Bashar mentioned that we have the challenge now of increased polarization. And I find this really mind-blowing at a time when information, communication is really growing and expanding. People can find out information about everything and everyone in a very, very short time. Just with a click of a button, you can just, really travel the world on Google and other search engines. And yet, we are seeing this kind of divisiveness and polarization increasing between people embodying different cultures, civilizations, faith traditions. How can we really interpret this phenomena, Father Bill?
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of information flying around, but there's a difference between information and understanding. And I think that when it comes to the question of relating to the other, who is this other with whom we feel a threat, or the kind of divisions that have shaped us, I think you cannot have a human encounter with someone without being open to being changed by them. And I think the fear behind meeting the other is that we're afraid that somehow that means we lose our identity, or our fundamental values or beliefs will be threatened or compromised. But as the story of Francis and the Sultan shows, what changed with Francis was not his faith, but his worldview. He was a faithful Christian who had a mystical experience of Christ, that his faith never wavered. But what changed was his understanding of the other. He saw the humanity of his Muslim host. He saw the authenticity of Muslim spirituality. He saw possibilities of relating outside the hostility that had defined the views of the Muslim and Christian world at the time. And I think that's what we're called to do now. We have to make that same dangerous journey of actually meeting the others. To give you an example, one of the things I've had the pleasure to work with the Imam, were the international youth conferences we have here in this country. They're called Better Understanding for a Better World, brings Muslim and Christian students and American and students, kids from a high school level from 40 or 60 different countries. And always at the end, they have times when they tell about their experience. And they come with the same misconceptions and stereotypes of who Americans are, who Christians and Muslims are, as everyone else has. By the end of that session, when they've gotten to know each other, they get up and tell stories like a Russian girl who said that the only Muslims she was aware of were the ones who were setting off bombs in her village. Now she was going home with Muslim friends she would cherish for the rest of her life. A young Pakistani man who said how when he came here as an exchange student, he encountered American racism, was told he had no rights because he was brown. He should have gone home hating Americans, but because of the friends he made at this conference, he was going home with American friends he would cherish. That's what it means to be changed by encountering the other, where we discover each other's humanity, and the whole world looks different then.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Imam Bashar, you are heading two very important initiatives, the Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation, CECF, and Al-Bashir Seminary Interfaith Center and Institute. Can you briefly explain to our listeners, please, what these two different initiatives are all about? How are they similar and how are they different from each other?
Thank you very much. Yes, Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation really started out of my own, I would say, frustration when I first came to this country, and the people, when I tell them I'm from Syria, and that was, late 80s, early 90s, and people would say, from where? And I would say Syria. Oh, you mean Sierra Leone? No, Syria. They have never heard of Syria. Or some would say, oh yeah, that's in the Middle East. So you, in your country, like you live in tents and you ride camels. And that's, what they know about the Middle East through Hollywood and movies and, Aladdin. To me, that was really shocking when I see that kind of ignorance. And then the, Iraqi war started in the early 90s, and how the people would, always try to ask about what's the meaning of holy war. So I saw the ignorance, and I saw that the people don't know. The same way when I go sometimes to the Middle East, and when I hear from the people talking about America, as if America is one thing. America is doing this and America is doing that. And I will say, excuse me, which America you are talking about? Because I live in America and I see different kind of America. I see America of foreign policy, and I see America of the kind people who do not agree in so many ways with the foreign policy. So which America you are talking about? And what did you do to reach out to the America that agrees with you 100%, but they are not Muslims? So this kind of perceptions, I thought it is my responsibility after spending close to 10 years in the United States that I have to do something, and I have to create an organization within these universities to create exchange programs that are accredited, and the students will get credits for that. So I started that based on the spirit of verse 13, Surah 49, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know one another. So I thought, in order to transform this verse into a global project, I have to make a cultural exchange organization, because sometimes people are uncomfortable with the word Islam or with the word religion as a whole. So I thought it is important to talk about culture and the importance of Islamic civilization and the importance of European Renaissance that took place hundreds and hundreds of years in the medieval time, and was influenced to an extent by the Islamic civilization through Andalusia, Spain, and Sicily, Italy. And that's what the people normally don't talk about as much as they talk about terrorism and extremism, and back then Al-Qaeda, and then now ISIS, and radicalization and this and that. At the same time, I was also really frustrated of certain tone that comes with some Muslims who keep emphasizing on only, the militant approach, and that to them jihad is by the sword, and quoting either certain ahadith or certain verses, and to me sometimes they are taking it out of context, not realizing also the world we are living in and the opportunities that we have in front of us, and the importance of interpreting the Quran and the tradition of the Prophet based on the time that we are living in right now. The Quran is more than 6,000 verses, and it has been revealed within 23 years based on different incidents and based on different situations. And I thought it is very important for me to start from talking to the Americans through, the history and the culture and the civilization, through science, through technology, through philosophy, and what the Muslims brought, and what the Quran is talking about. And I have seen most of the time people in the United States who are not Muslims are influenced by what they see on TV. And I thought it is my responsibility to create this cultural exchange organization. But then later on, after also 7 years of having this organization, I realized that some of these exchange programs where the U.S. Embassy is sending to the United States different delegations who are religious and who are scholars or community activists to be introduced to life in America and Muslim life in America and interfaith in America. I thought talking to these religious figures who are visiting the United States through these official programs, it will be important to also to go deeper when they are talking to theologians in the United States. And at the same time, I have seen Christian leaders and Jewish leaders, their understanding of Islam is really basic. And sometimes you go to universities, and when you are studying world religions, for example, and Islam takes maybe a week or less, you go through certain basic terms, but you really don't go deep. And you don't have a chance to compare certain verses and certain theological aspects. And what is also more important, that you don't get a chance to go deep into spirituality in Islam and the spiritual realm and the spiritual world and the compassion that, that Almighty Allah is talking about when each surah, each chapter in the Quran starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. And even Muslims sometimes they don't focus on the concept of compassion, that it has to be mixed, rahmah has to be mixed with all of your actions and behavior throughout the 24 hours, whether you are dealing with your family, with your wife, with your kids, with your neighbors, with your society, and also on a global level. that your politics has to be mixed with compassion, that
Absolutely.
your economy has to be mixed with compassion. So in order to talk about all of this from a theological perspective, I thought I have to start this seminary and institute and interfaith center. And right now, I'm really, seeing the need of these kind of programs to provide courses for priests and to provide courses for rabbis, to have a chance to study comparative texts and comparative verses, not for the sake of who is better and my religion is better than your religion. I think we have to go beyond that. And that's
Absolutely.
what also, by the way, frustrated me, that when I grew up in Syria and I went to the Islamic University, we studied comparative religion from the perspective of, showing you how Islam is the religion. I understand that, but at the same time, the Quran is talking to us about Christianity from the perspective of collaboration,
Right.
not only from the perspective of theological comparative and differences. Yes,
Absolutely.
when I'm speaking to my Christian friends, I explain to them where I come from as far as theology, and as far as the belief in the one God, and the way I view Jesus, the way I view the Word of God that has been revealed to Mary. And that kind of debate, or I don't want to call it debate, that kind of dialogue, it
Right.
has to be based on understanding and compassion.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Absolutely.
we will reach into a debate and hate. The Quran is not teaching us hate. The Quran is teaching us how to be respectful. The Quran is teaching us how to reach out to other people and to talk about theology, just for the people to know where I come from and where I stand. And if you don't agree with my theological perspective, fine.
You're still my friend.
Also respect your theological perspective. But now we have to go and have lunch together or dinner together, and to cooperate and to have a stronger society, whether we are living in America or living in Europe or living in the Middle East. And the lack of understanding of that is, resulting in wars and conflict. I mean, look what's happening in the entire Middle East. Even within the Muslims themselves, that shows you how much we are in need of intra-faith, not only interfaith. The issues between Sunnah and Shia, how that kind of ignorance also resulting in that kind of wars where the enemies are using that kind of ignorance. So again, I see that kind of ignorance and misunderstanding and misperception is the mother of all vices.
Absolutely. We will come back again to this very important discussion right after this commercial break. Stay tuned, please.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
This is Dr. Sahar Khamis. Join me on the third Friday of each month at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be discussing some of the most important current political, economic, and social issues in my program, The Bridge. On Radio Baladi, on America's Voice of the Arabs, WNZK 690 AM and WDMV 700 AM. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is your host, Dr. Sahar Khamis, and we are today embarking on a very interesting, unique spiritual journey of transformation, collaboration, and spirituality between an Imam and a priest. My guests today are Imam Mohamad Bashar Arafat and Reverend William O., also known to us as Father Bill. Father Bill, before going to the commercial break, Imam Bashar was talking about these two initiatives. Obviously, the Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation is more inclined to tackle the cultural part, exchange between civilizations, and Al-Bashir is more towards the theological part and explaining the faith and comparative religion. How can we understand our different religious traditions and theologies? Out of all of that, the hope is what you explained earlier to us, the transformation, the encounter with the other, and coming up with a transformational moment that really affects our worldview. So my question to you, Father Bill, is in your own encounter with Islam as a religion and your encounter with Imam Bashar in particular, what were some of the most important transformative moments or really turning points, so to speak, that somehow affected your worldview?
Well, I think beginning with the journey was the first time I went to Egypt and Jordan with Imam and a group of Christian clergy. Immediately, I was struck by the fact that, for example, that was the first time we had encountered the Amman message that was issued in 2004 by King Abdullah of Jordan, in which he brought together all the schools of Islamic jurisprudence to reject violence, to give a true picture of what Islam was about. And to me, it was one of the most authoritative statements because it had every school of Islamic jurisprudence signing on to it, and yet we never heard about that in this country. And those of us who were even educated in interfaith, that we just got no play in this country, in the media or elsewhere. And it just became very clear to me that Westerners or Americans complain, well, why don't Islamic leaders speak out on issues like violence and terrorism? And yet it was clear that when they did, nobody here was listening, that their word was not getting across. And so it was very much we wanted to develop an effort to bring that voice here, to have a dialogue that wasn't being allowed to happen. I had written at that time a call to a common effort as a response to what was the challenge of the Amman message. Just in our visits, in a number of occasions to the other countries in the Middle East, there was the same sense of so many people wanting us to understand what Islam was about that wasn't being communicated through the Western media. We had a visit delegation from Al-Azhar University come here for one of our programs, and what they were talking about to us is as soon as they got off the airplane, all they saw in American media was about ISIS and the Islamic terrorist groups, and they said, well, why don't you Americans understand ISIS is more of a threat to us than it is to you? Why don't you see the truth of what most Muslims experience and feel? And so it's that sense of trying to get the true voice of Islam heard here that was part of what I understood to be the challenge. And as Imam was saying, that if we try to approach it from the point of view that fidelity to our religious tradition is what brings us together, not overlooking our religious differences, and accepting religious diversity is part of the vision that we all must embrace. And for myself, I was struck by a line from the Quran itself, which as a Catholic priest I felt summed up very well what we're about. And in the Quran it says, had God willed it, he could have made you one community, but that he may try you by that which he has given you. He has made you as ye are. So vie with one another in good works. Unto God you will return, and then he, Allah, will inform you of that wherein ye differ. And as a Catholic priest, that says it very well for me. Our job is to come together out of fidelity to the God who spoke to Abraham and work to help heal our world, and leave it to God to explain to us our theological differences later.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen to that. And I think a very important point you touched on, Father Bill, is the Muslim clerics have been speaking and talking about countering extremism, radicalization, and terrorism. They've been speaking, but they have not been heard. I always say Muslims have been speaking, but they have not been heard. That is really a big part of the problem. And Imam Bashar, I know that you have a very interesting program called the International Observer Program, IOP. And I assume that one of the main functions of this program is to try to offer training for imams, whether imams in the US or imams abroad, on how to also address the media and speak to different communities so that their message can hopefully be heard more widely and even internationally. Can you briefly give us an idea about this program and what it's all about?
Sure. The International Observer Program is really meant to first of all, give an opportunity for the visiting imams and scholars through different U.S. embassies who are visiting the United States to observe the youth programs that we offer through CECF, and one of them is the Better Understanding for a Better World International Conference that we call BUBW, and brings cultural exchange students from between 30 to 40 countries at each conference in Baltimore and others in other states to see how also they can do programs with youth of other religions and other cultures, and also for those who are living in Europe, how they can do this kind of youth activities on a global level. Because I have seen that for us as imams, and I talk about myself, that when I was, growing up in the Middle East, I did not have an opportunity to travel and observe. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that in any country right now in the Middle East, not necessarily at our time, but even before, that there is no programs that send clergy just to have an understanding how the Europeans, are understanding Islam, or what are the issues that you need to keep in mind in case you became imam in Europe, or in case you became imam in America, or in Canada. So that kind of exchange for imams is really so much needed. And the same thing, I have seen it when I was dealing with clergy and took them with me in Ramadan to Morocco, and to understand spirituality during the month of Ramadan or other issues within the religion of Islam. So IOP is really meant to, first of all, give the clergy who are visiting the United States an opportunity to observe let's say, for example, the concept of the Constitution and separation of church and state, dealing with issues of secularism in America versus secularism in Europe. And how to deal with communities who are different in the United States and the way the Muslim community is doing it. So really, the IOPs today are, alhamdulillah, thank God, very successful, and I see the need for it to continue. And if I had a chance, I will share with you also more about the experience I have seen in the recent elections here on the county level and the state level, and how the people are, observing this topic.
This is excellent, and I think this is a very important thing to really turn these imams into ambassadors for their faith, for a local, regional, international, global audience, and hopefully by doing so to amplify the message of collaboration, transformation, spirituality, and love, which is really what religion as a whole is all about. We'll come back to this very important discussion right after this commercial break. Stay tuned, please.
تعرفوا شيء، احنا كتير بنهتم بالمقبلات بالاكل الشامي،
واحنا بنهتم بالبهارات والتسبيكه في الاكل المصري،
واحنا نهتم هوايه باللحوم وجودتها بالاكل العراقي، واحنا في مطعم عشتار نهتم بيكم، اعتمدوا علينا ايا كان. نحن في عشتار نعرف ان لكل مذاق اسرار، فنحن نقدم اجود انواع اللحوم من ملحمه عشتار الواقعه على 56865 راين رود.
عشتار، قصه حضاره ترويها لكم اطباقنا المميزه في كل زياره.
تفضلوا بزيارتنا في 3625 East 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
مطعم عشتار بإدارة فادي بهنام وعلي البغدادي. 586-698-2585 586-698-2585.
The Rama Relief Foundation provides humanitarian aid into areas inside of war-torn Syria, as well as aid to the refugees who have fled to the neighboring countries in the Middle East. The foundation offers food baskets, container shipment, mental health, education, soup kitchens, and more. Go to ramarelief.org or call 248-990-4247. Any donation amount made to Rama will go to sustaining many lives. Call now 248-990-4247.
أسواق زمزم الواقع على 24065 أورشد ليك في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز ترحب بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. تنزيلات كبيرة على عموم المواد الغذائية في يوم الأربعاء من كل أسبوع. لا تنسوا فريش كاري اوت، جميع انواع المعجنات، وايضا صواني الكامبو المشكله والصمون الحار. لحوم حلال الجاليه العربيه والاسلاميه الملحمه باداره قصاب الجاليه المعروف سلوان جربوع. زوروهم على 24065 اورشد ليك في مدينه فارمينغتون هيلز، او اتصلوا بهم على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمذاق عنوان لجميع طلباتكم، اتصلوا على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمعامله الراقية وكرم الضيافة عنوان.
Life is a non-profit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493.
قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكرزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32839 نورث ويسترن هايوي في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم كول 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية.
This is Dr. Sahar Khamis. Join me on the third Friday of each month at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be discussing some of the most important current political, economic, and social issues in my program, The Bridge. On Radio Baladi, on America's Voice of the Arabs, WNZK 690 AM and WDMV 700 AM. Welcome Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is your host, Dr. Sahar Khamis, and we are embarking today on a very interesting spiritual journey between an imam and a priest that is transformative in their understanding of the world and the way they actually deliver this understanding to the rest of us. My guests today are Imam Mohamad, Bashar, Arafat, and Reverend William A.Au. Imam Bashar, before the break, we were talking about the International Observer Program, and the aim of this program is obviously to train the imams from the different parts of the world and from the United States to be able to observe and look at each other's faith traditions and understand how to deliver the message of Islam, which is about compassion and mercy, to the rest of the world. I also understand that you are planning to have a very important conference, which I think you mentioned earlier, and also Father Bill, the Sultan and the Saint, this historical important encounter that became really a moment of spiritual transformation for both of them. Tell us a little bit about this conference. What does this conference really try to do? What are the aims and objectives for holding it?
Thank you. We have met already with the Archdiocese of Baltimore, with the Archbishop of Baltimore, and we expressed the need of having a conference that is open for all the churches in the state of Maryland, and how these kind of activities are so much needed, not only for the churches, but also for the schools, for the youth. And now I see the need for even, politicians. And I see, as I mentioned before the break, that those who ran for elections from the Muslim community on the local level, how they encountered, some kind of suspicions from other people, like how we are going to vote for you, but we don't know who you are, and we are afraid about the religion of Islam. From what we are seeing in the media, I have seen the need for more and more activities that will put the people at ease. So for me, that conference is really, that upcoming conference next year is very important to be open for the entire communities, and use that incident and visit that took place almost 800 years ago to show the need for it, and this initiative from both the Christians toward the Muslims, and how it should be replicated from the Muslims toward the Christians today, and to talk about issues that are relevant to our time and how we can be guided by the good lessons of the past.
Absolutely. I really wish every success, every good luck for this very, very important initiative and this very important upcoming conference. And Father Bill, you mentioned something very important when I was talking about the media and social media. We have more information. You said information is one thing, understanding is another. What else could be done? What are we missing here? What are the blind holes? What can we do in order to amplify the messages of love and compassion, which is what Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all about, and really kind of dispel some of the myth and the negative stereotypes? What work should we be engaging in now and moving forward?
Well, I think what Imam and I have been trying to do is that, taking the lesson from the story about the St. Francis and the Sultan, is that we need to create occasions for that kind of transformative encounter to occur. This is not something that's going to happen just through the media or the people. We have to make that same dangerous journey that Francis made to actually meet the other, which is what we do with the international youth conferences, what we do with the clergy trips to Muslim countries and bringing Muslim imams and teachers to the U.S. I think it's important for us in this country here to have Muslim and Christian groups and leaders and community members to get together to actually meet the other and to learn who the other is and to dispel the misconceptions. Like when we meet with members of the Muslim community, I'm at pains sometimes to point out to them that to recognize the true history of the United States. We say we're an immigrant country, but everything that's being said about Islam today that's wrong, and that they just want to get in here and take over and impose their religion, or Islam is incompatible with democracy. Every one of those things was said about American Catholics 100 years ago. And so we have to recognize that, we need to stand with one another and going through the same kind of challenges and intolerance and bigotry that we've all known at one point in our history. And I think that unless that's what we have to do, focus on bringing people together. And for myself, I feel that I have been blessed that in working with the Imam, I've not just discovered a professional colleague. I've grown to have a brother in which we've met on the one level, the deepest level that people can meet each other, and that's on the level where we pursue and find God. And I think as religious leaders, we have to invite other people to that encounter, that in being faithful to their religious belief, they can meet the other whom they thought was so different and allow God to reintroduce us to see that the other is no longer other, but a reflection of God and ourselves. And only when we start talking to each other on that level will we see the transformation that we need to have happen.
Absolutely, amen to that. And I came across this verse in the Holy Quran just recently that really I paused and tried to understand. And thanks to both Imam Bashar and Father Bill, you helped me to try to understand this verse even better. That that God really accepts all of us who have faith in Him and do good work. And the Holy Quran talks about the people of the book, the Jews and Christians, the people of the book who got these holy revelations. If they believe in what has been revealed to them and what has been revealed to us, and do not deny any of these faith traditions, all of them will be engulfed in God's mercy and blessings and will have a reward from their Lord. These are the words of God as revealed in the Holy Quran, and I think that the great work that both of you have been doing and engaging in is an embodiment of this message in the Holy Quran, and I'm sure in other faith traditions. In 1 minute only, because we're running out of time, we only have 2 minutes left in the program actually. What is one thing that you wish to see accomplished in this world in this coming year? Imam Bashar, you go first, then Father Bill, and then I have to close in less than 2 minutes. Go ahead, Imam Bashar.
Thank you very much. I really hope to see more engagement from our community, more outreach from our community toward the interfaith community, and to open our mosques and our institutions to talk about issues that are relevant and important for all of us. And I see the politicians sometimes are over and over again playing on the ignorance and the fear of others and use it as part of their political agenda. I hope that we can take the initiative to create more programs, and I will be delighted to partner with other members of the community who would like to do the same programs in their state.
Amen. And Father Bill?
In a similar way, I mean, we have Muslim and Christian congregations, communities living not far from each other, but they might as well be in different worlds. And we've had some Catholic churches come forward wanting us to do programs about the saint and the sultan, and I would like to see more outreach between our two communities to create those moments of encounter where we will no longer be talking about stereotypes we've learned through the media, but we'll be talking about the friends we've met in our own communities, and then experience the kind of transformation that Francis and the Sultan walked away with.
Absolutely, amen to that as well. And I think we all have a lot to learn from your own spiritual encounter, your journey of collaboration, friendship, transformation, and spirituality. You have really inspired all of us to think in so many positive ways. And I wish every success to both of you in the great work you're doing. Thank you so much, Imam Bashar and Father Bill, for being our distinguished guest this morning. And thanks for all the good work you're doing to make the world a better place.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here.
And it's an honor to be with you and with your show and with your listeners.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much to both of you. And thanks to all our listeners this morning. Thank you all and goodbye.